Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Mike and today's video is going to be all about the books that I read in December. And unfortunately, December didn't turn out to be the reading month that I had hoped, mainly because I was stuck in quite a long book, and secondly, I pretty much finished that and then got pretty ill. And I just didn't really feel like reading anything over Christmas break. So I only finished one book. And I did get started on two. I say started, but again, that is also sort of in the middle. So let me talk about the one. No, I did finish two books. There was one of them that just wasn't all that memorable. So that's why I'm like, oh, I only finished one. No, Micah, you finished two. Let me talk about the book that I suddenly remembered. I was like, oh yeah, of course. I also read that one. I'll put the picture on the screen, and that was Maureen Johnson's Truly Devious. And if you saw my November wrap-up, then you know that I was almost finishing this up when November had finished, and I was reading it on audio. So I was listening to this, and this was okay, it was enjoyable, but I heard quite a lot of people raving about this, how good it was, and now that I finished it, I'm like, no. So for me, what this book lacked, I mean, it's the first book in a series, and it's very deliberately set up like that. And that was something I didn't know going in. So we are, the story pretty much starts with this mystery that happened at this school years ago, and we meet Stevie, who is going to the school precisely to solve this mystery of this missing girl. Some people were killed, and nobody still knows till this day who actually did it. And she believes that she's like this female, new Sherlock Holmes kind of person. And like a lot of the book is just setup after setup after setup of setup to kind of get the story rolling. And the one thing that irked me is that once the story got going, I was like, but the book is almost over. When are we going to solve this mystery? Oh, we're not going to solve this mystery until like the third book, it seems. Because by the end of book one, the only thing we have is a new mystery that's been added into the mix. And Stevie, who says she's such a great detective, is only talking about how many mystery and detective novels she's read. But her detection skills, so to speak, are never ever showcased. So for me, the entire book just fell flat towards the end of it. I kept listening to it going like, I hope it will get better, I hope it will get better, I hope it will get better, and then it just never ever did. So even though this book ends on a cliffhanger that is there to make you want to read the next book, I was like, why are we dragging out this story so much? There are so many scenes, especially in the first half of the book, that are completely unnecessary if this is such a great detective novel. So for me, it really didn't bring to the table what I was hoping it would bring to the table. So for me, I think I still gave it like a 3 stars on Goodreads because it was enjoyable, it was entertaining. I kept listening to it for sure. I finished the whole thing. But I kind of kept listening, waiting for things to happen that in the end are sort of like only teasers for the next book. So for me, no. Just no. I also thought that Stevie as a character, she was interesting enough to read from her perspective, I'm sure. Like I found her entertaining enough, and also the people she meets, like the characters are pretty well fleshed out. But for me, this book just didn't give me what I would want from a detective novel. It just didn't. But that does bring me to a detective novel that I finished that did.
Editing Mikey here, and I've been a bit silly because I grabbed the wrong book off the shelf. I'm talking about the right book, but it's called Troubled Blood, and it has a different cover. So I'm not sure what happened here. I definitely think I still, I don't know, it must be the new year or something here, but it's called Troubled Blood. And the review that I'm giving you is the correct one, but it's not this cover. I'm terribly sorry.
This humongous like, I think you could kill someone with this book. It's so, so huge. It's over 900 pages long, and it's Lethal White by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. Now, this book has come into some controversy, mainly because the book was reviewed by someone who linked it to some of the things that Rowling said before the summer. And that link is just, it's not even there in the book. So this story already started leading its own life without people having actually read it, based on one reviewer's very single-minded perspective of linking a character that shows up in this story, who is a serial killer, who sometimes dresses as a woman to be more approachable to his prey, and linking it to what people have called transphobic comments from J.K. Rowling. I mean, this person is never even labeled as potentially transgender in the entire novel. Not one single time. This person is always mentioned as being a serial killer who sometimes dresses as a woman to be more approachable and seem like a friendly face. But this person is never even... The word transgender is not mentioned a single time in this entire book. Not at all. So for me, I just think that if people would just have judged the book at face value, they would have gotten something out of it that I got out of it, and that was a whole lot of enjoyment. This gave me exactly what I want from a detective novel. It just does. It really, really does. And, I mean, you can say about J.K. Rowling what you want, but the woman can write a story. And she did it again. This was, even though this is over 900 pages long, it not once felt tedious. It not once felt too lengthy or overly done. However, you do have to like the characters in the book to like that. And Cormoran Strike, the main character of this story, isn't exactly someone you are supposed to like. He's a bit, let's just say, an acquired taste. He's a bit grumpy. He can be a bit mean. He's definitely like a man. But he kind of struggles with that, which I thought was really interesting. So what we get, the reason why this book is so long, let's talk a little bit about the plot. This is the 5th book in a series. So there are certain things I cannot really talk about if you haven't read the other books. However, we get a standalone cold case that him, Cormoran Strike, and his detective agency partner Robin Ellicott, I think her last name is, they are trying to solve this mystery of this missing woman. I think she went missing in like the early 70s. And now, like so many years later, they're trying to solve her mystery. Has she gone missing? Was she murdered? Nobody knows. And they are hired by her daughter to solve this case. At the same time, there are other cases that this agency has going because as time progressed, the agency has become quite renowned and they are being hired to also surveillance and like do other things as well apart from this case. So we also get snippets from other cases that they are working on. And there are also some more side characters because as the agency grew, they also had to bring in more people to be able to handle the workload. So we've got some more characters in this than in the previous books. But the main focal point of this novel is still Cormoran Strike, and we see more and more of Robin as the books progress. And especially Robin, wow, she is one kick-ass female, if I may say so myself. I really, really like reading from her perspective. She really feels like a really well fleshed out modern woman who knows what she wants and who's just fed up with people telling her what to do, pretty much. There's also a lot of chemistry going on between these two characters. So why is this book so long? We don't only get one case, which is very often the case in the other novels within this series, but this book does what some of the books did separately. So for instance, the 1st book and the 3rd book in the series I found really focused on a case, whereas book 2 and 4 were more about the characterization and the character development of Cormoran Strike and Robin Ellicott. Whereas in this novel, we get both. We get the case, plus a couple of cases in the periphery, and we get them as individuals as partners within the detective agency, also experiencing growth and becoming more fleshed out as characters, and it was just well done. I couldn't put this down by the time I was able to pick it up again. I hurt my hand right in the middle of reading this, and every single time I tried picking it up, even right now holding it, I can feel my finger starting to hurt again. I fell over and I sprained my finger, and it was a whole thing. But with a book this big and heavy, I just literally couldn't hold it. But then one day I just sat down, and I think I read 400 pages in a single day. It's one of those books. You just keep turning page after page after page. And even though this is over 900 pages long, it was never boring. Not once. Not once. So for me, this was 5 stars. I think I did give it 5 stars. Did I? If not, I have to go back to my Goodreads and change it, because I may have given it 4 stars. Because I'm very, I try to be very careful with what I give 5 stars and what I don't give 5 stars, because 5-star reads for me have to be standout reads of the year, the ones that really keep me going. And with this, I can usually only tell if something is a 4-star or a 5-star a few weeks later. I can never tell straight away. So with this, if I gave it 4 stars, I have to bump it up, because now that I'm telling you about it, I become enthusiastic all over again, and I want to go back and read it again. Yes, that's how good this is. I would like to reread it straight away. So that means that we're left with updating you on what I've decided to get stuck in right after this. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I didn't get as stuck in as I thought I would. I could have very easily read both of these books before the end of the year, and I just didn't. Like I said, I fell ill, didn't feel like reading or doing Netflix. I had no focus. I was I was not in a good place. It was a cold, but it was sort of bordering on bronchitis, and I had a lot of trouble sleeping because I was so out of breath the entire time. So that was a very unpleasant experience. I was super tired. I lost my focus, my concentration completely. It was a good thing we had Vlogmas. There was lots of makeup content that I could just brainlessly watch, and I didn't have to think about anything. Then Christmas break rolled around, and I decided to do a jigsaw puzzle. So where I usually would sit down and read for days, I decided to do a jigsaw puzzle. I'm getting old, people. But yeah, that was very enjoyable. I really had a good time laying that puzzle, but it does mean that I didn't really get to reading all that much. So kicking off 2021, I'm definitely going to be reading some more. I decided on the audiobook The Ashes of London by Andrew Taylor, and this I don't know much about, apart from the fact that it's a historical fiction. There is the Great Fire of London, something happens in the aftermath, and then someone is trying to figure out what happened. So a little bit of detective, 17th century London. I'm down. I thought it could be fun, and it's just under 13 hours. So again, this should be doable within the month to be able to read this. I only just listened to 4 minutes of this. But yeah, I didn't even want to listen to audiobooks. I was ill, people. If I don't want to listen to audiobooks even, you know I'm not in a good place. And then a book I wanted to get started on, I said in my bookshelf tour that I was going to start this, or that I had started this. And to be quite honest, I haven't read a single page yet of the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. This is the first book in the Broken Earth trilogy. And to be quite honest, I am so excited to read this, because so many people have raved about this series as being one of their all-time favorite fantasy series. And I want to love this too, so I want to read it. However, there's pressure for me to like this, you could say. And so I'm I want to pick this up so badly, but I'm so scared that I won't like it as much as everybody else that I kind of have this, and especially because I haven't read anything for weeks now, it's I need to get back into the swing of things, you could say. But I'm pretty sure that once I start reading this, I want to fly through it. So I hope to be able to just sit down on like a Friday night and just get it started and read as much as possible. That's sort of the plan. So yeah, I'm going to start this. Hopefully it's going to be like a good start of my 2021 reading year. And with that being said, now that you have an update on where my reading stands, I'm going to finish off the video right here. My next video that will go live hopefully over the weekend is going to be my like 2020 reading year in review. So I will have that video up for you then. And then we'll talk about like my stats, how many books I ended up reading, how many pages I read, and sort of like all of the stats and like some plans perhaps that I have for reading in 2021. And then I think I also want to do an updated like 10 books I want to read this year kind of list. I did that last year, but I haven't really decided yet what I want to read. What are some things I want to get to this year? I'm gonna have to brainstorm that. But yeah, next video is going to be my look back on 2020 and all the reading I did that year. So that's coming up next. I hope you'd like to stay tuned for that. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I make one video a week over on this channel, so I try to get it up sometime over the weekend now. I've decided to loosen up a little bit when it comes to this channel. But yeah, I'll tell you more about that in my next video. So I hope to see you in that one. See you next week. Bye-bye.